guys? Dr. Shepard here. I wanted to talk with y'all today about a topic that can potentially be pretty life-changing if you let it, and that is the topic of gratitude. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what gratitude is, how do we become more gracious, and why should we become more gracious? And then at the end, I'll sort of share some of my tips on how to incorporate a daily practice of gratitude in your life and how to get better at being someone who is grateful. So let's start off by talking about definitions. So gratitude comes with a number of different definitions, and there's one in particular that really resonates with me. I'll link the study below that defines it this way. But gratitude in this particular study was defined as the process by which you affirm the goodness in your life. So affirming meaning just acknowledging and noticing the good things in your life. So you affirm the goodness in your life. And you also acknowledge that this goodness lies at least partially outside oneself. So that's a lot of words, but it kind of means that you're not responsible for all these good things that have happened to you. So another word that comes to mind that kind of goes along with gratitude is people will say that they feel blessed or that something is a blessing. And that's implying the same thing, that you didn't necessarily earn this, that it's coming from something outside of yourself. So maybe you're thinking, well, I'm just not a very grateful person. And I know that there are people that see the glass half full and that must be great for them, but I'm just not one of those people. It doesn't come naturally to me, and I don't see how I could possibly take advantage of something when it's just not in my personality. So what I would say to that is that gratitude is actually not a personality trait. So some of us, yes, may find it a little bit easier to engage in gratitude practice. It may come a little bit more naturally. But by far and away, it's actually a skill that we can practice and that we can get better at over time. So I don't want to hear the excuse of, I have too many things going on in my life, I'm too stressed out, I can't do this gratitude crap. You can. And it's going to help with all of that stuff that you feel like would be getting in the way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why we should care about gratitude and why it's something that's important. So it's actually been really well studied. Gratitude in a number of different studies has shown benefits in physical health, in mental health, in relational strength. So I'm going to link again some of the studies that have shown these benefits, but to just give you an idea of how gratitude can benefit your mind, your body, your spirit, your relationships. So there have been studies that have shown that gratitude decreases blood pressure. It improves your immune system's ability to function effectively. It can decrease pain. Gratitude can also improve the quality of people's sleep. Grateful people have been shown to exercise more, and we all know there are a myriad of health benefits that come with exercise. Grateful people also have decreased risk of many mental health conditions. So a couple that just come to mind right away are decreased risk of major depressive disorder, decreased risk of anxiety disorders of all sorts, and decreased risk of post-traumatic stress disorder. And gratitude is actually something that we use in daily psychotherapy practice. So it's something that we use to treat these mental health conditions and help people get through some of the challenges that they face with these mental health conditions. So there have also been a lot of studies that have shown positive emotions and positive relationship qualities are increased in people with gratitude practices, and that negative ones are decreased. So to give you some examples, people who practice gratitude are more empathetic, they're less angry, they can be more assertive but less aggressive. They have an easier time maintaining deep and significant relationships. They report higher levels of optimism, of joy, of happiness. They report more life satisfaction, less envy, less bitterness, less jealousy. So these are all good things, right? And you can see how this could potentially translate into something that is beneficial for both your mind and your body. It's also super interesting to note that there are a couple of studies in which people have looked at the underlying brain activity that's associated with gratitude expression. And what this generally involves is having people practice a gratitude exercise or envision something that makes them feel grateful while they are in an fMRI scanner. And an fMRI scanner is something that looks at the functional activity in the brain. So in these sorts of scans, we expect that the brain will light up in areas that are being actively used. So a couple of these studies have shown that areas of the brain involved in social relationships and areas of the brain that are involved in reward processing are also involved in gratitude. So we don't really know exactly what that means, but it's interesting to note that gratitude practice can stimulate positive emotions and can also benefit relationships. And then we're seeing things light up during gratitude practice in areas of the brain that are noted to be associated with those things. Cool. All right, so what does gratitude practice actually look like? Gratitude practice can be something that we do formally or informally. I find that until you really hone that gratitude muscle, it's something that you need to make a little bit more formal. So what I mean by that is that you need to do it at a designated time. You need to have a cue for when you're going to practice your gratitude, and you need to have a sort of structure for how you're going to do it. So once somebody gets really good at practicing gratitude, maybe they can rely a little bit more on informal methods. So just sort of doing your gratitude practice when it pops up in your mind as something to do. But if you're not in the practice of doing it on a regular basis and you're not used to it, then those informal opportunities just aren't going to come up as often because you're not going to think about it. So until you get that big gratitude muscle growing, I would recommend starting with a formal practice. And there have been a couple different types of formal practices that have been studied in the literature. And I think really anything that fits well for you is something that you could try and use. There's probably benefit to all of these different forms of practicing gratitude. One that I particularly like because it's really easy and straightforward is writing down 3 things every day that you are grateful for. And it's really important to recognize that this does not need to be a complicated assignment. So when I do this sort of gratitude practice, I come up with things that are very small, and I really only write a sentence at the most for each bullet point. So an example would be, if I'm doing my gratitude practice right now, I'm grateful for this crazy plant. I've had this plant since residency and it has survived like so many cat attacks. It's incredible. So if I'm thinking about my gratitude practice, yeah, I can sit and think about, the details of the plant, what exactly about it I'm grateful for, why I'm grateful for it, and have some positive memories about it. But when you're honing this skill, start off really small. And so I'm going through my gratitude practice in the morning, and number 1, I'm just gonna write my ridiculous looking plant. That's what I'm grateful for. So it can be really simple and straightforward like that. So that is one great way to practice gratitude. Other studies have looked at ways of practicing gratitude that can include things like writing a letter to someone who you are grateful for, but you haven't necessarily expressed that gratitude. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit more of an involved process, but so you're probably not going to do it daily, but it's something that you can incorporate into your formal practice. You can place reminders places. So one thing that I like to do is place reminders like this on my phone. So maybe I'll have a reminder go off or an alarm go off that says, remember to practice gratitude now. And that's just a cue for your brain. So any skill like this that you are starting, you want to remember to have a cue that will remind you to do it. So perhaps for like the gratitude journaling that we talked about, maybe going to bed at night or when you get in your bed, that's your cue that you're going to pull out your journal and write down your 3 things that you're grateful for. So you can also just do this gratitude practice by saying things out loud. So just talking about things. When I just talked to you about this ridiculous plan of mine, I felt a little bit better. So it's not necessarily writing it down, and it's not as formal as maybe sitting down and writing an entire letter, but just saying things out loud. So maybe when you go to brush your teeth in the morning or when you get into the shower, you have this habit of saying 3 things that you are grateful for that day. Again, probably a little bit better to actually take the time to write it out if you can, but if not, no big deal, just go with it verbally. All right, now I hear you guys saying, cute, great idea, Dr. Shepard, love it in theory, but I really don't feel like I have anything to be grateful for. And to that I would say, you may not feel grateful, and to be honest, when you first start this practice out, you probably won't feel grateful. But what you want to do is fake it till you make it a little bit. So keep engaging in the gratitude practice. Keep finding things that you can say that you're grateful for. And even if you don't feel it at first, you will be working that muscle and you will be strengthening your ability to feel gratitude. You can find something to be grateful for. You may have to be a little bit creative, but I'll give you a couple ideas. And if you've made it this far in the video, comment below something simple that you are grateful for so that maybe other people can get some ideas from it. So an example that most of us watching this can relate to is that we have clean water. For some of us, it comes out of the freaking fridge. Like, how crazy, what kind of sorcery is that? It's something that we don't think about in our day-to-day life, but it's pretty cool and we can be grateful for that. So that could be one of your things. If you are watching me on YouTube right now, I don't know how else you would be watching me. So if you're watching me now, you have internet access. You have access to this incredible wealth of knowledge on YouTube. You probably even have a smartphone. And all of that stuff is stuff that we can be incredibly grateful for. So like I said, drop me a comment below with your ideas about some things that you are grateful for. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and I will keep posting videos on things that you can use to support your own mental health. Let me know if there are other things that you want me to talk about. And if you like this video, please hit like so that I can know to make similar content in the future.